What's up guys, Andy here from the John Drives YouTube channel. Today Jonathan is behind the camera and today we are working on my E46. What we're going to do is put some BC Racing coilovers on it. I have some Condor reinforcement plates to put on as well, and I'm going to walk you guys through the steps of exactly how to put coilovers on your car and what exactly I think of the BC Racing. Let's get to it. Alright, so here are the BCs. Whenever you first get them, they're going to come in 2 boxes. It's actually really good because it's a really heavy package. They did a good job putting it all together. Whenever you open it up, you're going to get some directions in there, and then we'll crack this open and see what we got. So, as you can see, there are some end links for your sway bar, and then you have these springs right here for the back because BMW's, the shocks and springs are separate. And then here's the rear shock. And then lastly, we'll pull out one of the front shocks right here. My understanding of it is, I don't know the exact adjustability. I think it's like 32-way dampening, and then you can just lower it and adjust the ride height and stuff like that. But first impressions, it is really good build quality. Everything is really solid. I think it's gonna hold up pretty well for drifting and stuff like that. And at a $995 price point, it's really not too bad for what it is. And here's the other thing that I got for it that is important, is these Condor reinforcement plates. So E46s, they have been known, I think just a BMW thing, they have really thin sheet metal. I know on Jonathan's E36, the rear shock actually went through the back of the chassis of the car, and so he had to get it all re-welded and stuff like that. So if you get one of these plates right here, it's gonna hopefully prevent that from happening. And I ran them on my E36 and never had problems. So I've never actually pulled off the front wheels on this car. They tend to get kind of stuck on here. So what we've done is just like kick it really hard back and forth and it comes off after a little bit. All right, so we're gonna get started on installing the actual coilovers themselves. First, we'll start on the front. First off, we're gonna wanna take a look at this sway bar end link right here. I believe it is a 16mm nut. I just took it off actually. It's right here. So, and then on the back side, you're gonna need a 16mm wrench. So you're gonna go like this on the back and then pull your impact or ratchet around and buzz those off real fast. So right here, there is a 18mm bolt. It's going through. There's a bit of like a, there's like a bit of a sleeve or something that the shock is actually being held in by. So you pull that out, and then after that, it should be free in the lower area. Another thing you're going to want to do is disconnect this brake line right here, and then I believe there's like a brake pad wear sensor or something back there. So you just yank that out right there, and then make sure that's free and out of the way of this shock. And then lastly, whenever this drops, you're going to need a little bit of spacing because of that sleeve right there. So whether you have some sort of mallet or hammer, you're going to want to hit this brake rotor right here, and it'll lower the lower control arm, and then it will slide right out. And then lastly, we finish up at the top. There are 3 little nuts right here. I believe they're 13 or 14 millimeters right there. And then after that, it's just gonna drop out. And it's very important to make sure that you have a jack in place for that so it doesn't completely fall. Put both of the shocks back on the car. We're gonna wanna take a look at this original one. We see the sway bar right there, what it was like. So what we're gonna wanna do is take this new sway bar end link right here. We're gonna take these 13mm nuts off, both sides, and then there's these little caps right here. And so we wanna make sure it's in the right direction. What you're gonna wanna do with the actual shocks themselves is they're gonna have this adjuster locking nut right here. And you're gonna wanna turn that counterclockwise just to loosen it up. And then I'm actually gonna add some extra ride height to it. So we're gonna keep turning it down and you'll see more gap with those threads right there. Make sure they're even with the other one and then put the locking nut back on. The reason why we're doing this is out of the box, the BCs come a little bit more compressed. Not sure if that's just for shipping purposes, but we're gonna make sure that they're the same exact ride height for now, and then whenever we get it on the ground, we can take a look at it, see if it's too low or too high, and then adjust from there. So with the BCs, you wanna make sure the orientation on it is right. The way that you're gonna be able to tell this is these top hats right here. You see these little camber plates right here. They're gonna be facing this way towards the motor, and then you will just put it in like that. Reach over, get our nut.
Spade. So the key to get this coilover in, so note this little silver nub right here, that actually slides into this spacing right here in the collar. What we're gonna do is make sure that is completely aligned with that, and get our jack, put it under the whole assembly, and then jack up the assembly onto the coilover until it hits the stop right there, and then we'll put that bolt in and we'll be set.
Hold up. Put it further under. You have to go down now.
So now we are on to the back. What we're gonna do for the first step is get our jack, and we're gonna get it under here and put it under this rear knuckle right here, which is connected to the shock. And reason for that is if we disconnect the top, we don't want it to like crash. It's not bad, but it's definitely preferable not to have that happen. So we're gonna jack this side up, and then we'll move on to the top ones. Pumping it up a little bit, making sure that it is not gonna be drooping or anything. And now we're on to the back. There is this battery cover. I already disconnected it. There might be a couple little clips right here that you'll have to pry up with a little tool like this. So move that to the side, get your carpet out of the way. And then back here, there's actually this like sound deadening stuff right here.
Or like the side, like the back half. There you go.
Yeah, that's it.
It's so old.
Yeah, so since this stuff is so old, it just kind of falls to pieces, but it's not the end of the world. These are 13mm nuts right here. We'll take these two off, and then we'll move to the bottom. Now that we got those two up top, and now it's gonna droop a little bit. You're probably gonna wanna get a friend or something to push down on this part right here, and then you have your spring in here in this little bucket. So you'll push that down and have the other person pull that spring out.
So what Andy's doing right now, he's actually taking the 18mm off the shock. There's only one bolt going into the bottom of the knuckle. That's what he's working on right now. The top is already free, the spring is already out, and this is the last step to remove the stock suspension. There it is. Oh, that's nasty. That's gone, dude.
That's what my problem was.
That was your problem. Not even, oh, it's already compressed. That's junk.
So I actually was able to watch a video by Chelsea DeNofa, and he was able to kind of explain with the E46s his thoughts on the suspension. So what I'm gonna do differently with this rear suspension is actually not run the adjusters up top and just run these little nubs right here. I actually learned this from a video by Chelsea DeNofa. He was setting it up on another E46 drift car, and so what that does is it provides more spring travel, and it's just gonna make sure that you don't have any weird binding or bottoming out issues since you are drifting and might go off track or stuff like that. Back down the bucket right there, and then slide the spring in.
He's gonna go ahead and put on the condor reinforcement on the top as far as like the inside of the cabin, and then this will come up through the bottom, and then the nuts will go on top of the condor reinforcement mount.
It'll be like that.
Yeah, and the car will be sandwiched in between.
To get this lower shock on, I'm gonna get the jack back underneath the rotor, lift it up just enough where we can line up the shock and the bolt and thread her in.
Talking?
She's tucking in the back.
Is it all the way down?
It's like low.
The front's not bad.
It bottomed out.
Did we? Hopefully those springs sat in there okay. Wow! Maybe we should run the buckets.
We might have to run the frickin' buckets.
Maybe we can fool around with drift setup
But the front looks good.
another time. Yeah, the front's good. We'll probably just put the buckets on in the back, That'll shield a lot better. But the front's fine. We eyeballed that pretty good.
All right, so as you guys just saw, we actually lowered the car, and our theory with this whole spring thing actually didn't work. I think what the situation was is Chelsea actually had larger springs. They're like 7-inch or something. I don't exactly know, but we're gonna put these little perches back in. It shouldn't be much of a problem. All we have to do is actually take this little top thing off, and then it comes with this little plastic piece right here. Slide that on, and then we're just gonna leave it at the right height it came with. And just make sure it does go on top.
We're gonna head out. We're gonna go test the BCs on his E46. If that is gonna do it for this video, make sure to go hit the thumbs up and subscribe. Let us know what you think down in the comments below of the BC Racing and if you're gonna run them on your E46 and what you think. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next video.